Ladies and gentlemen, the voting is done, and it would appear that Donald Trump has won the presidency, and the left is losing his mind. You know who else is losing his mind? The ANC in Gauteng, specifically some of the black individuals of the ANC in Gauteng. But before we get on to the main news stories, can I yet again remind you, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It really does help. And if you want to support the work I do, you're welcome to buy me a coffee. The link is in the description box below. So let's get on to the first news story. And this is the news story that Prince William is in Cape Town with Cyril Ramaphosa and Ronald Lamola, who is responsible for all the international relations. Anyway, let's actually see why he was here. So the reason he came is because trade between the United Kingdom and South Africa has apparently stalled. It's actually got worse. Now they want to reinvigorate trade between the United Kingdom and South Africa. And I'm reminded that the United Kingdom, specifically all the Watis, are frequently demonized by the ANC because of apartheid and various other things such as slavery and colonialism and stealing the land and all the other rubbish. And it's amazing that when you demonize individuals and then you put sanctions in place to make it seem like you're basically punishing them for historical wrongs in the name of equity and inclusion and remedying injustices, those individuals generally tend to think, nah, I'll go somewhere else where they don't have those rules and regulations. And that's exactly what's happened with the United Kingdom. Trade has stalled, but then South Africa hasn't exactly been very pro-Western, has it? I mean, it's made it actually very clear that it doesn't actually want to trade with the United Kingdom. They don't want to trade with the United States. They don't want to trade with Europe. They want to trade with the BRICS partners. So I'll say there's anything wrong with trading with the BRICS partners. But I mean, when you actually have a country with high unemployment, you basically trade with whoever will take your trade, right? Anything to self-enrich your country. After all, that's supposedly South Africa's international position. Remember, we're non-aligned. That's why we don't say anything against Russia's invasion of Ukraine, because we're non-aligned. We don't take sides. Talking of taking sides, let's actually move on to the news now that because of the BELA bill, COSATU are absolutely losing their mind. Apparently, Cyril Ramaphosa must take charge of this GNU thing, according to them, because basically the ANC has gone against Cyril Ramaphosa and his government because they're not in favor of sections 4 and 5 of the BELA bill. Well, let's actually remind ourselves, there's not actually, I know we keep referring to it as the BELA bill, but it's actually the BELA Act. Has been signed into law. I mean, it is law now. Only those two acts have been suspended whilst they're renegotiated. Well, according to COSATU, the fact that DA is in government, they are a cabinet minister, and they're going against the ANC, and they're protesting against the ANC because of the BELA Act, this makes them saboteurs and racists, and you know, the usual junk that these morons say. So, yeah, I mean, this is kind of ironic because one is reminded that the ANC actually protested itself about Eskom. And whenever there's high crime, they protest themselves. Lack of jobs, the ANC protests themselves. So does this mean that the ANC is provocateurs against the ANC? You see, you can't make sense of commie logic. It's just stupid. So let's actually delve into that commie logic a little bit more. Well, apparently, according to Banyaza Lesufi, the whole idea that South Africans, white South Africans in specific, constantly talk about the Rainbow Nation and try to adopt Nelson Mandela's dream, apparently that all comes out the window when it comes through to their kids and culture, because then it's all about Swart Gebeur. But you see, this is dumb, because what we constantly find is that you can't say that we have a respect for culture and we have respect for a Rainbow Nation, but actually really what we want is one color, beige. We want everybody to conform to the same standards. The other interesting part is that they keep referring to Afrikaans as a white language, you know, from Holland, those Dutch people. You know, there's no such place as like Holland. There's a place called the Netherlands, but Holland doesn't exist. Certainly not as a country. Now, the interesting part about this is that if you actually look at the demographics, there are a large number of individuals who are non-white that speak Afrikaans, and many of them speak Afrikaans as a first language. But apparently the only people that would do that, would want to actually protect that language, must be whiteys and white supremacists. Now, in support of their whole bullshit argument, they constantly seem to refer to anything that may or may not support it. So let's see. John was at the Voortrekker Monument supporting Afrikaners having the right to be able to educate the kids in their own language. Well, Voortrekker Monuments, well, that's a sign of colonialism. So ANC must be white and colonialists. And you know, Afrikaans colors are orange, yeah, and if you look, there was orange on the old South African flag, so that means that these people want to return to the old South Africa. The logic is stupid. Whilst people like Panyesa Lesufi constantly go on and on and on about swaggeweer as if it's a real thing, manufacturing forms of racism when none exist, I would actually argue that there's the reverse as well, which is apartheidgeweer, which is the constant fear of apartheid. It's not a real fear. It's just, it sounds good because they all want to be like freedom fighters and stuff, and they all want to show their credentials of fighting the system. But they actually have no intention of fighting the system at all. Everybody knows that the biggest problem with the act is that at some point in time, you're going to get some ANC moron, we all know the one, that is going to try use the act to punish Afrikaners. And by doing that, what they're going to try to do is eliminate their culture and their language. It's a fact. We've seen this time and time again. Now, one is reminded that, again, you never put laws in place for the best intentions. When you put laws in place, you must always consider what the worst case scenario of that law could be. Most actors in government go in with good intentions, but the people that implement are not there with good intentions. Quite often they use the legal framework in order to get some form of political end goal. That's the concern. The political end goal is that you could basically stop all Afrikaners teaching their own culture and language, and thereby eliminating the Afrikaner culture and language full stop. I don't see why this is so difficult for these morons to understand, but apparently the mere fact that you use logic, remember, we have individuals like the EFF who claim superior logic, but then fail to understand the most basic arguments in favor of, no, you must just implement it. You see, the same things now happen with the ANC study group. I mean, what the hell's an ANC study group? Is that like some students that voted for the ANC and they sat down together and said, yeah, better bill, we should adopt that. And they've said that basically the better bill actually just encourages more languages in school, not less languages in school, and nobody's taking away your cultural rights, so the president must just adopt the act. You see, this becomes a constant problem. We've seen the exact same thing now with the South African Communist Party. Well, how dare you go against the president? He must just do what he says. Look, the GNU is a multi-party coalition of political parties that all have their own agendas. The idea behind it was that no single political party got an overwhelming mandate to just do what they want. Therefore, consensus was needed between all political parties to adopt certain positions. Now, you see, these communists just can't fathom having to work with others. Their brain just explodes, it leaks out their ears. Because you see, what they want to do in the typical fashion is they want democracy in order to get some form of overwhelming majority, and then they can just do what they want. Everybody knows you get socialists in through the ballot box, but you get them out through the barrel of a gun because they never relinquish power. We've seen this specifically right now in Mozambique, where the communists refuse to relinquish power. They'll just rig the elections every time so that they win. You see, they're not acting in good faith. You can't say, well, the multi-party coalition of political parties are all there to prop up the president and just do whatever the ANC wants as if they got a majority. They didn't get a majority. They need to find consensus between political opponents. And these individuals appear incapable of doing that. It is so boring in 2024 to still see people just seeing racism in everything. Ooh, the color orange is racist. Ooh, the color white is racist. Ooh, he spoke Afrikaans is racist. Let's be honest, they're not actually seeing racism. What they're actually seeing is little points that they feel they can use as microaggressions. These individuals don't want equality before the law, which they have. What they actually want is they want supremacy in order to obliterate the people they don't see that they like. That's the problem with the BELA Act. That's what people are concerned about. Now, you may say, well, it's not a concern because we wouldn't do it today. And if the EFF win tomorrow, would they do it? Because again, you have to be forward-thinking with acts of parliament. But these individuals aren't forward-thinking. If they were forward-thinking, South Africa wouldn't find it in the mess that it is. In any case, that's just my view. You can let me know what you think in the comment section. Are these guys as retarded as I'm saying? Moving then on to something that's not retarded, and that's Donald Trump won the elections. And according to Elon Musk, he's not in favor of the UN. He says they have too much power. He says no one voted for them and that it's not actually in the best interest of the individual to sit there and listen to the UN. And I would agree, because if you look at a lot of the nonsense that's coming out that all of the countries feel the need to adopt, anti-gun lobby, the whole centralized command theory, the whole idea of having a national health service, this is all UN propagated. And one has to ask this central question, which we ask time and time again. Who voted for it? Oh wait, no one. They just decided to impose it on the will of democratic states, and then say that those democratic states, like Hungary, actually have no choice in what they do, and if they attempt to exert their own national will, well, they'll be fined up the wazoos. But in any case, the memes have been great. The first meme is that a Pretoria boy went there and saved America, with reference to Elon Musk's involvement with the elections. There's other comments that all the political leaders around the world have been saying stupid things, like Sadiq Khan said if he wins, he'll leave the United Kingdom. So everybody wants to know when we're helping him pack his bags. The meme that I shared not that long ago of Keir Starmer getting a PK from President Trump has reexerted itself, and everybody's asking, wonder how that relationship's going to go, because it's going to be frosty. And this reminds me of something. Everybody needs to be careful when they sit there and talk down about political opponents, because one day your political opponents could find themselves in political power. For the longest time, the ANC sat there calling the DA the white racists, blah, 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 the devils, whatever else. And now, all of a sudden, they find that they actually need to be friendly with them and actually support each other. And now they're struggling, which we're seeing play out every single day. Politics shouldn't be about just name calling. It should be about debating the policies. But you see, this goes back to the point that Elon Musk made, and that is that a lot of the policies these days have actually been exerted on it by the UN, an unelected body that's led by a socialist. In many instances, debate of national policy is almost as pointless, because even when you have a political will locally, it's just ignored. We see this time and time again in Europe, where individuals in small towns vote against mass migration, and their wills are frequently ignored, whilst the political elite just say, okay, here you go, here's double your population and people that don't look like you. Now, you may say, well, that's racist that they don't look like you. Yes, but they also don't share your culture, your language, and your identity. And small areas where everything's based on trust and the knowledge of who your neighbor is, that's a big, big social, economical issue. And nobody's prepared to discuss it. Because even when you do discuss it, you're basically told to shut up and get on with it. Anyway, that's just my views. You can let me know what you think in the comment section below. Until tomorrow, bye.